The blue glow from the control screens lit Commander Jake Morrison's face as he stood in the Global Communications Center. Outside the tall windows, the Rocky Mountains stretched under the morning sun. This building in Denver had been Earth's voice to the stars for 20 years. Today, that voice would go silent. "All systems ready, Commander," said Lisa Bennett. She was the chief scientist of the Silence Project. Her fingers moved across her tablet, checking the final numbers. "The barrier generators are online. Once we send the last message, we can activate them." Jake nodded and looked around the room. Dozens of people worked at their stations. Some were military. Others were scientists and engineers. They had been preparing for this day for 5 years. Not everyone agreed with the plan. "Sir, I still think this is wrong," said Sam Rodriguez. The young communications officer had dark circles under his eyes. He had been arguing against the silence protocol for weeks. "We have friends out there, trading partners. What will they think when we just disappear?" "They'll think what we want them to think," Jake replied. His voice was calm but firm. "That we need time alone. That we have our own problems to solve." Lisa walked over to the main communication console. "The message is loaded. It will transmit to all known alien civilizations. The Krellians, the Vorthak Empire, the Etherians, and the other 43 species we have contact with." Jake thought about those alien races. The Krellians with their 3 arms and love for mathematical puzzles. The Vorthak, always pushing their military might on smaller worlds. The Etherians, who looked like glowing jellyfish and spoke in colors. Each species had taught humanity something. Now it was time for humans to teach themselves. "Play the message one more time," Jake ordered. The room's speakers came to life with the recorded voice of Earth's world president. "To our friends among the stars, Earth must now turn inward. We need to tend to our garden. We thank you for your knowledge and friendship. But now we must grow alone. Do not seek us. Do not worry for us. When we are ready, we will return. Until then, farewell." Sam shook his head. 250 years. My great-great-grandchildren won't even remember what alien contact was like. "That's the point," Lisa said softly. "We need time to become what we're meant to be. The technology the Krellians shared, the biological knowledge from the Etherians, the energy systems we learned from the Vorthak. We need to make them truly human, to evolve without outside influence." Jake checked his watch. It was almost time. Around the world, other centers like this one were preparing. In Moscow, Beijing, London, and Sao Paulo, human operators waited for the signal. "Commander Morrison," a technician called out, "we're receiving multiple incoming messages. The Zelathi ambassador wants to schedule next month's trade meeting. The Vorthak are asking about our defense treaty. The Etherians sent another invitation to their Wisdom Festival." "Log them all," Jake said. "They'll get their answers soon enough." He walked to the main console and placed his hand on the scanner. His palm print glowed green. "Commander Jake Morrison, authorization code 77 Alpha 9. Begin final transmission." The room fell silent except for the hum of machines. On the main screen, they could see the message racing through space, carried by quantum transmitters to 100 different worlds. Some close, only light years away. Others so far that human minds could barely grasp the distance. "Transmission complete," Lisa announced. "All species will receive our message within the next standard hour." Jake took a deep breath. Once the barrier went up, there would be no turning back. Earth would be alone, hidden behind an energy field that would make the entire solar system invisible to the rest of the galaxy. The greatest disappearing act in history. "Activate the barrier," he ordered. Lisa pressed a series of buttons. Outside, though they couldn't see it, satellites around Earth began to power up. They created an energy net that would soon wrap around the entire solar system like an invisible blanket. "Barrier at 10%, a technician reported. 20%. 30. Sam watched his screens as alien communications began to fade. First the distant ones, then the closer signals. We're losing contact with the Krellian trade station. Vorthic military frequency is gone. Etherian beacon, offline. 60%, 70. Jake felt the weight of his decision. 300 billion humans on Earth, and the moon colonies were now being cut off from the rest of the universe, all for a plan that might change humanity forever, or destroy it. 90%, 95. The last alien signal flickered and died. Earth's receivers went quiet. For the first time in decades, no alien voices reached human ears. 100%, Lisa said. The barrier is complete. We are alone. Jake looked out at the mountains. They seemed the same, but everything had changed. Earth had closed its doors to the galaxy. Now the real work would begin. Send word to all Earth facilities, he said. Phase 1 is complete. Begin Phase 2. As his team got to work, Jake wondered what the aliens would think. Would they try to break through the barrier? Would they forget about Earth? Would they even care? He touched the window glass. Somewhere out there, beyond the invisible shield, alien minds were receiving Earth's final message. We must tend to our garden. Do not seek us. The galaxy would have to manage without humanity for a while. 250 years wasn't so long for a species to find itself. At least, Jake hoped it wasn't. Behind him, Sam Rodriguez stared at his dead screens. All those voices from the stars, silenced. All those connections cut. He didn't agree with the plan, but he would do his duty. So it begins, Lisa said, standing beside Jake. So it begins, he agreed. The sun climbed higher over the mountains. Inside the Global Communications Center, Earth's last space operators began their new jobs. Instead of talking to the stars, they would now guard Earth's silence. The Great Silence had started. The stars looked different from the command deck of the Zealothi Research Station. Ambassador Crix had been staring at the empty space where Earth's signals used to come from for 3 hours. His 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern on his blue-scaled face, showed no emotion. But inside, he felt confused and worried. Still nothing. Asked his assistant, a younger Zealothi named Vec. Nothing, Crix confirmed. He touched the communication panel again, running through all frequencies. Earth has been silent for 55 years now. Not a single transmission. The space station floated near the edge of Earth's solar system, or where the solar system should be. Long-range scanners showed empty space. It was as if Earth, its sun, and all the planets had simply vanished. The new Vorthek Admiral wants a meeting, Vec said. Admiral Thane is gathering a fleet. He thinks this might be the perfect time to claim Earth's territory. Crix turned his chair slowly. His people, the Zealothi, were not warriors. They were thinkers, scientists, puzzle solvers. But even he could see the danger growing in the galaxy. Tell Admiral Thane that there is no territory to claim, Crix said. Earth is not conquered. It is hidden. On the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Thane stood on the bridge of his warship. The Vorthak were a proud warrior species, with gray skin and bodies built for combat. Thane was young for an admiral, but his ambition burned bright. Earth's resources could fuel our empire for centuries, he told his officers. Their technology, their planets, their people as workers. And now they hide behind some barrier like cowards. Sir, we've tried everything, reported Captain Gorth. Energy weapons, probe ships, even quantum tunneling. Nothing gets through their shield. Thane's red eyes narrowed. Then we wait. No barrier lasts forever. When it falls, the Vorthak Empire will be ready. Meanwhile, on the colony world of New Eden, life continued without Earth. The planet had been settled by humans 200 years ago, before the Great Silence. Now, 50,000 humans lived there, along with members of other species. Dr. Mira Patel walked through the colony's main street. She had been born on New Eden and had never seen Earth. Her grandparents told stories of the homeworld, but to Mira, they seemed like fairy tales. Any news from the council? Asked her friend, Van Cooper, as they met for lunch. "Same as always," Mira said. "The coalition of free worlds is growing stronger. 12 species have joined now. They're worried about the Vorthok expansion." Ben nodded. The galaxy had changed since Earth went silent. Without humanity's diplomatic influence, old conflicts had grown worse. The Vorthok Empire pushed against its borders. Smaller civilizations banded together for protection. "Do you think Earth even cares what happens to us?" Ben asked. Mira looked up at the sky. Somewhere beyond those stars, Earth hid behind its barrier. "I don't know. Maybe they forgot we exist." In the depths of space, other events unfolded. The Krellians, with their love of mathematics and patterns, had spent decades trying to solve the Earth puzzle. Their greatest minds worked on equations to predict when the barrier might fall. The Etherians, beams of energy and thought, sent peaceful messages toward Earth's last known location. They believed humanity would return when ready. Their patience was infinite. But not everyone was patient. Pirates and scavengers prowled the trade routes that Earth once protected. Without human peacekeepers, some sectors fell into chaos. The strong preyed on the weak. "It's been 55 years. Captain Jorah of the merchant vessel Star Runner told her mixed-species crew. "Earth isn't coming back. We need to look after ourselves now." Back on Ambassador Crix's station, new data arrived. Energy readings from Earth's hidden solar system had changed slightly. Not enough for most to notice, but Crix had been watching for half a century. "Vec, look at this," he called to his assistant. The younger Zelethi studied the numbers. The barrier's energy signature shifted by 0.3%. After 55 years of perfect stability, Crix added. He felt excitement for the first time in years. Something is happening in there. Should we tell the others? Crix thought carefully. The Vorthak would see this as weakness to exploit. The coalition might panic. The pirates would gather like vultures. No, he decided. We watch, we wait, we learn. Across the galaxy, life went on without Earth. New alliances formed. Old empires expanded. Technology advanced. Children were born who knew nothing of humanity except stories. The Vorthak built their fleets. The coalition trained their defenders. The Etherians meditated on the meaning of Earth's silence. The Krellians calculated probabilities. And in a small corner of space, an old Zelethi ambassador kept watch. He remembered Earth's final message. We must tend to our garden. Do not seek us. But Crix would not stop seeking. He believed Earth's silence had a purpose, a grand design that the galaxy couldn't yet understand. What are you doing in there? He whispered to the empty space on his screens. The stars gave no answer. Earth's barrier held firm. Another day passed in the great silence. In the war rooms of the Vorthok Empire, Admiral Thane studied star charts. His spies reported coalition movements. Border conflicts increased. Without Earth's influence, the galaxy grew more dangerous each year. Sir, the Emperor wants an update on the Earth situation, an aide reported. Thane smiled coldly. Tell His Majesty that Earth remains sealed. But seals can be broken. We just need the right tool. On New Eden, Mira Patel looked through her telescope at the night sky. She had spent her whole life on this colony world, but something deep in her human DNA called to a home she had never seen. Where are you? She asked the stars. The galaxy had moved on without Earth, but some still remembered, some still hoped, and some still watched. 55 years was a long time for individuals, but for civilizations, for species, it was just a heartbeat. The great silence continued. The Bridge of Freedom's dawn shook as another plasma blast hit the shields. Captain Elena Vasquez gripped her command chair and shouted orders over the noise of battle. Return fire. Target their engines. She commanded. Her tactical officer, Paul Chen, worked his console with quick fingers. Shields at 40%, Paul reported. We can't take much more. The year was 2195. The galaxy burned with war. The Vorthak Empire had grown too powerful, too greedy. They wanted everything, and they had the fleets to take it. Alina watched the tactical display. 3 Vorthak destroyers surrounded her ship. The Freedom's Dawn was one of the Coalition's best vessels, but 3 against 1 meant certain death. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," Paul said. "Energy readings from Sector 7. "Not now, Paul. Focus on." "Captain, it's coming from Earth's location." Alina's heart skipped. Earth, the ghost system, hidden for 150 years behind its mysterious barrier. Another blast rocked the ship. "Shields at 20%. Jump to Sector 7, Alina decided. It was insane, but staying meant death. "Captain, that's right next to Earth's barrier. If we hit it." "Do it." The Freedom's Dawn's engines screamed. Space bent around them as they jumped. The Vorthak ships followed, but too late. Alina's ship emerged near the invisible wall that hid Earth's system. "Full stop," Alina ordered. They were so close to the barrier that their sensors screamed warnings. The Vorthak ships appeared moments later, but instead of attacking, they also stopped. Their commanders knew the stories. Ships that touched Earth's barrier never returned. "Sir, the energy reading," Paul said, his voice strange. "The barrier is pulsing." Alina looked at the data. He was right. For the first time in a century and a half, Earth's shield showed activity. "Back us away slowly," she ordered. "Send this to Coalition Command. Priority 1. On the Vorthak flagship Conquest, Admiral Thane studied the same readings. He was older now, his gray skin marked with battle scars. But his ambition remained strong. "After all these years," he muttered, "Earth stirs." His second-in-command, General Korthak, stood beside him. "Sir, should we attack the Coalition ship?" "No, not here. Not now." Thane's red eyes glowed. "Send word to the Emperor. Earth's barrier shows weakness." Across the galaxy, the war raged on. Planets burned. Billions died. The Coalition fought bravely. But the Vorthak had more ships, more soldiers, more weapons. On the Coalition's mobile command station, Ambassador Crix was now ancient by Zelathi standards. His blue scales had faded to pale gray, but his 4 eyes still watched Earth's data with obsession. "Alina's report confirms my observations," he told the Coalition War Council. "Earth's barrier has changed. The pulsing started 3 days ago." "Could it be failing?" asked Admiral Singh, the Coalition's military leader. Half her fleet was gone. They needed hope. "Unknown," Crix admitted, "but after 150 years of perfect stability, any change is significant." The War Council debated. Some wanted to try breaking through Earth's barrier again. Others feared waking a sleeping giant. Still others didn't care about Earth. They had a war to fight. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, refugee ships flood the war zones. Families of dozen species crowded into cargo holds. Children cried. Parents comforted them with old stories of peaceful times. "Tell us about Earth, Grandpa," a young Etherian asked her elder. The old being's glow dimmed with memory. "Earth was beautiful, child. Humans were strange but kind. They stopped wars. They shared food. They told wonderful stories. Why did they leave? They didn't leave. They hid. Sometimes hiding is the wisest choice." The child didn't understand, but she would learn. Everyone in the galaxy was learning that without Earth's influence, peace was fragile. On a hidden asteroid base, resistance fighters planned desperate attacks on Vorthak supply lines. Danny Walker cleaned his rifle while others studied maps. "We hit the fuel depot at midnight," the raid leader said. "In and out fast." Danny nodded, but his mind wandered. His great-great-grandfather had been from Earth. Before the silence, he wondered if Earth even knew about the war, or cared. "Walker, you listening?" "Yeah, boss." "Midnight. Got it." They all knew it was hopeless. The resistance was too small, the empire too big. But they fought anyway. What else could they do? Back at Freedom's dawn, Alina received new orders. The Coalition was forming a special task force. Their mission: investigate Earth's barrier changes. They want us to lead it, she told Paul. Ambassador Crix will join us. Paul looked worried. Captain, every ship that's tried to breach that barrier has vanished. No debris. No signals. Just gone. I know. But what choice do we have? The Coalition is losing. If Earth has answers, we need them. She looked out at the empty space where Earth should be. Somewhere behind that invisible wall, humanity waited. Or maybe they were all dead. Maybe the barrier was a tomb. Set course for rendezvous with Ambassador Crix, she ordered. Time to knock on Earth's door. The galaxy held its breath. After 150 years, Earth's barrier pulsed with new energy. Change was coming. But what kind of change? Salvation or destruction? Hope or final defeat? The war continued. Ships fought and died. Planets fell to the Vorthak Empire. Refugees fled to nowhere. And Earth's barrier pulsed like a heartbeat. Waiting. Watching. Ready. The asteroid field was perfect for hiding. Danny Walker floated in the darkness, his small fighter powered down to avoid detection. Through his cockpit window, he watched the impossible. Earth's barrier was more than pulsing now. It rippled like water. Waves of energy rolled across the invisible shield, visible only where they caught starlight. "Control, this is Walker," he whispered into his comm. "You seeing this?" Amy Foster's voice crackled back. She was the last Coalition admiral still fighting, commanding from a damaged carrier, hidden 3 systems away. "We see it, Walker. How long has it been doing that?" "Started 20 minutes ago. The ripples are getting stronger." Amy studied the data her sensors gathered. The war had cost her everything: her fleet, her home world, her family. The Coalition was broken. The Vorthak controlled 90% of the galaxy. Only scattered resistance remained. "Walker, pull back to safe distance. If that barrier drops." "Admiral," another voice cut in. "Vorthak Grand Fleet just jumped into the system. 300 ships." Amy's blood ran cold. 300 ships. The Emperor himself must be leading them. "Walker, get out of there now." But Danny was already moving. His fighter's engines lit up as Vorthak scouts spotted him. Laser fire filled space around him as he dodged and weaved. On the Vorthak command ship, Emperor Zarthan watched the barrier's display. He was ancient for a Vorthak, his gray skin marked with ceremonial scars. But his eyes burned with the same hunger that had driven his empire to conquer the galaxy. After 230 years, he said to his generals, "Earth weakens. Prepare all weapons." "My lord," General Korthak warned, "we don't know what's behind that barrier." "We know enough. They hide while we rule. They are cowards or they are dead. Either way, their systems will be ours." The Emperor's fleet spread out, surrounding Earth's hidden system. Hundreds of ships, each carrying weapons that could crack planets. The might of the Vorthak Empire gathered to claim humanity's abandoned throne. But they weren't alone. From another direction, Coalition survivors arrived. Admiral Foster's damaged carrier, Captain Vasquez in Freedom's Dawn, and a handful of other ships. Ambassador Crix was with them, still studying Earth's barrier after 2 centuries of obsession. "Admiral Foster to Emperor Zarthan," Amy broadcast. "This space is neutral. Withdraw your fleet." The Emperor's laugh was cold. "You have 12 ships, Admiral. I have 300. Surrender now, and I might let your crews live as slaves." The barrier's ripples grew stronger. Energy discharges began appearing like lightning in an invisible storm. "Something's happening," Paul Chen reported from Freedom's Dawn. "The barrier frequency is shifting. It's opening." A hole appeared in Earth's shield, small at first, then growing wider. For the first time in 230 years, Earth's sun became visible. Then the inner planets, then Earth itself, blue and green and perfect. Every ship, Vorthak and Coalition, held its breath. All weapons ready, Emperor Zarthan ordered. Prepare for planetary bombardment. No. Amy Foster's ship moved to block them. Earth is protected by Treaty 7. No attacks on origin worlds. Treaties are for equals, the Emperor sneered. You are defeated. Move aside or be destroyed. The hole in the barrier kept growing. Earth sat vulnerable, seemingly defenseless. No ships rose to meet them. No weapons fired. The planet spun peacefully, as if unaware of the drama above. Danny Walker had made it to the Coalition ships. From his fighter cockpit, he watched the Vorthek fleet advance toward the barrier gap. 300 warships against a silent planet. This is wrong, he muttered. Where are Earth's defenses? Ambassador Crix studied his readings. After 2 centuries of watching, he knew Earth's energy signatures better than anyone. What he saw now confused him. Admiral Foster, he called. The barrier isn't failing. It's being lowered deliberately. What do you mean? Earth is choosing to open. They know we're here. The Emperor didn't care about Crix's theories. He saw opportunity. All ships advance. Claim Earth for the Empire. The Vorthek Grand Fleet surged forward. 300 ships racing toward the gap in Earth's shield. Weapons charge. Crews ready for conquest. Amy Foster made her choice. All Coalition ships, defensive formation. Protect Earth. 12 battered ships moved to block 300. It was hopeless, suicidal. But they moved anyway. The gap widened. The barrier continued to lower. Earth waited, silent and blue. Firing range in 30 seconds, the Vorthek weapons officer announced. Coalition ships in our path, another reported. Go through them, Emperor Zarthan ordered. The 2 fleets raced toward each other, toward Earth, toward a meeting 230 years in the making. Danny Walker gripped his fighter's controls. His great-great-grandfather had been from Earth. Maybe he would die defending the world he'd never seen. The barrier dropped lower. Earth's moon became visible. Still no response from the planet. No transmissions. No ships. Nothing. 10 seconds to firing range. Amy Foster gave her last order. All ships, all weapons. For Earth. The fleets met. Weapons fired. Ships exploded. And Earth watched in silence. The first Coalition ship exploded. Then another. The Vorthek fleet punched through Amy Foster's defensive line like it was paper. 12 ships against 300 was no battle. It was slaughter. But then everything stopped. Every ship in space, Vorthek and Coalition alike, lost power at the same moment. Engines died. Weapons went dark. Life support switched to emergency batteries. 312 warships drifted helpless in the void. What's happening? Emperor Zarthan roared. His bridge was lit only by dim emergency lights. All systems offline, his engineer reported. But that's impossible. Through the viewports, Earth hung serene and blue. The barrier was completely gone now. The planet looked exactly as it had 250 years ago, except for one thing. Ships were rising from Earth's surface. Not warships. Not fighters. Something else entirely. They looked like crystals made of light, flowing upward like reverse waterfalls. Captain Nina Cole sat in one of these ships. She had volunteered to be part of Earth's first contact team. Beside her, Dr. Alex Harper checked his instruments, though he didn't really need to. The ship responded to thought, not controls. Think calm thoughts, Nina told her mixed crew. Remember the training. We're ambassadors, not warriors. The crystal ships spread out among the drifting fleets. One approached Emperor Zarthan's flagship. Another glided toward Amy Foster's carrier. They moved like living things, curious and gentle. Ambassador Crix watched from his powerless station. His 4 eyes were wide with wonder. Beautiful, he whispered. A crystal ship touched his hull. Light flowed through the walls. And suddenly Crix wasn't alone. 3 humans stood before him, but he knew they weren't really there. It was a projection, but perfect in every detail. Ambassador Crix, one of them said. He looked middle-aged, with kind eyes and graying hair. I'm James. We've been watching you watch us. 200 years is a long time to keep vigil. Crix's voice shook. You knew I was here. We knew everything happening in the galaxy. We watched. We learned. We prepared. On the Vorthek flagship, Emperor Zarthan faced his own visitors. The humans who appeared on his bridge looked young, but their eyes held ancient wisdom. Emperor Zarthan, a woman said, I'm Captain Cole. Welcome to Earth space. How dare you? The Emperor's rage boiled over. You disable my fleet. You hide like cowards for centuries. Now you. We didn't hide from cowardice. Nana interrupted gently. We hid to become something new. Would you like to see? Before he could answer, the Emperor found himself somewhere else. Not his bridge, but a vast garden. Earth spread before him, but not the Earth he expected. Cities and nature blended perfectly. Buildings grew like trees. Rivers ran clear through urban centers. The air itself seemed to sing. This isn't real, Zarthan growled. It's as real as thought, Nina explained. We learned to merge consciousness with technology, to heal instead of harm, to create instead of destroy. On Amy Foster's carrier, the Admiral faced her own vision. Earth's representatives showed her hospitals that could cure any disease, schools where children of all species learned together, farms that could feed billions without harming the land. How? Amy asked, tears running down her face. Her homeworld had been burned by the Vorthek. Billions dead. And here was Earth, perfect and whole. Time, Dr. Harper answered. We used our isolation to evolve. Not just our bodies, but our minds. Our souls, if you believe in such things. Danny Walker floated in his powerless fighter, watching the crystal ships dance between the warships. One approached his small craft, surrounding it with soft light. Inside the glow, his great-great-grandfather appeared. Hello, Danny. Danny's heart stopped. That's impossible. You died before I was born. I did. But Earth remembers everything. Every human who ever lived. Every thought they had. Every dream they dreamed. We're all part of something larger now. The vision of his ancestor smiled. You fought to protect Earth, even though you'd never seen it. That tells us humanity's spark still lives in the colonies. Across the fleets, similar meetings occurred. Each crew, each soldier, each refugee huddled in cargo holds. All were touched by Earth's representatives. The crystal ships shared visions, memories, possibilities. Emperor Zarthan stood in the garden vision, his anger fading to confusion. Why show me this? I came to conquer you. We know, Nina said sadly. Just as we knew you would burn colony worlds. Kill billions. Spread pain across the galaxy. Then why? Because you can choose a different path. Everyone can. We're going to prove it. The garden faded. Zarthan was back on his bridge. But something was different. He felt different. The hunger for conquest that had driven him for centuries wavered. Emperor, General Korthek called. Our systems are coming back online. Weapons hummed to life. Engines restarted. The fleets had power again. They could fight. They could destroy. They could continue the war. Amy Foster's weapons officer looked at her. Admiral, your orders. Amy stared at Earth. At the crystal ships still dancing between the fleets. At the choice before them all. Stand down, she said quietly. Admiral. All weapons, stand down. On the Vorthek flagship, Emperor Zarthan faced the same choice. 300 ships awaited his command. Earth floated defenseless before him. The crystal ships pulled back, returning to Earth. The planet waited. The galaxy held its breath. My lord, General Korthak prompted. Shall we attack? Zarthan was silent for a long moment. Then, no, Emperor. No attack. Not yet. The standoff continued. 2 fleets, weapons ready but not firing. Earth spinning peacefully between them. And questions, so many questions, hanging in the void. The first contact was over, but the real meeting had just begun. The crystal ships returned, but this time they brought passengers. Real humans, not projections, stood on the bridges of both fleets. They wore simple white clothes and carried no weapons. Their eyes held a strange peace that made hardened soldiers nervous. On Amy Foster's carrier, 3 humans materialized in the command center. The woman in front had silver hair and dark skin. She smiled at the Admiral. "I'm Patricia Williams, Earth's Prime Coordinator. May we talk?" Amy nodded, still processing everything. "Are you enhanced? Changed?" "We prefer evolved," Patricia said. "Would you like to visit Earth? You and representatives from your fleet. Is it safe? Safer than anywhere in the galaxy." On the Vorthek flagship, Emperor Zarthan faced his own delegation. A tall man with broad shoulders stood before him. Despite his peaceful appearance, he carried himself like a warrior. "Emperor Zarthan, I'm General Kate Murphy, Earth's defense coordinator. Though defense means something different to us now. You disable my fleet, then invite me for tea." The Emperor's voice dripped sarcasm. "Not tea. Truth. We'd like to show you what Earth has become, what the galaxy could become." Zarthan studied her. "And if I refuse? Then you leave. We won't stop you. But the offer stands." Ambassador Crix spoke from his communication screen. The crystal ships had linked all vessels. "I'll go. I've waited 2 centuries for this." One by one, others agreed. Danny Walker volunteered immediately. Captain Alina Vasquez insisted on joining. Even some Vorthek officers, curious despite themselves, requested permission to visit. Emperor Zarthan surprised everyone, including himself. "I'll go, but I choose my own guards. No weapons needed," Kate Murphy said. "You'll understand when we arrive." The crystal ships gathered the volunteers. Amy Foster left her damaged carrier with a small team. The Emperor brought General Korthak and 2 elite guards. Ambassador Crix came alone, his aged body trembling with excitement. The descent to Earth was unlike anything they'd experienced. The crystal ships didn't fly. They flowed, moving through space like water through water. The passengers felt no acceleration, no turbulence, just smooth, impossible motion. Earth grew larger. Continents became visible. Then cities, but not like any cities they knew. These settlements merged with the landscape. Buildings rose from hills like natural formations. Rivers ran through urban centers, clean and blue. They landed in what Patricia Williams called New Geneva. The original city had been rebuilt completely. Towers of living wood reached toward the sky. Streets were gardens. The air smelled like spring rain. "Welcome to Earth," Patricia said as they stepped out. The gravity felt strange to those who'd lived in space, but stranger still was the sensation in their minds. A gentle pressure, like standing in a crowd yet feeling completely alone. "That's the collective," Dr. Marcus Johnson explained. He'd joined the welcoming committee. "Every human on Earth is connected. We share thoughts, feelings, knowledge. But we keep our individual selves. Mind control." Emperor Zarthan asked suspiciously. "Mind sharing. Voluntary. We can disconnect anytime. But why would we? Imagine knowing what everyone knows. Feeling what they feel. Understanding completely." They walked through the city. Humans of all ages watched them pass. Children played in fountains that defied gravity. Adults tended gardens that grew food and art together. Elderly people who looked too healthy to be old sat in cafes, their eyes young with accumulated wisdom. "How do you govern?" Amy Foster asked. "Who makes decisions?" Patricia smiled. "We all do. When you're connected, you understand everyone's needs. Decisions make themselves. The best choice becomes obvious." They visited a school where human children learned alongside holographic aliens. The lessons were games, the games were lessons. Knowledge flowed like play. They saw hospitals where diseases were cured by thought and light, manufacturing centers where materials assembled themselves into needed shapes, defense stations that protected by understanding, not destroying. Your weapons, General Korthak observed. Where are they? Kate Murphy gestured to the peaceful city. This is our weapon. Understanding. Connection. Why fight when you can heal? Why destroy when you can create? Pretty words, Zarthan grumbled. But the galaxy burns. Your peace means nothing to the dead. We know, Marcus Johnson said sadly. We've watched every death, felt every pain. That's why we're ending our isolation. They reached a tall spire in the city center. Inside, screens showed the entire galaxy, every conflict, every refugee ship, every burned world. We monitored everything, Patricia explained, waited for the right moment. The galaxy had to learn what happens without cooperation. Now we'll show what's possible with it. How? Amy asked. By sharing our evolution, not forcing it, offering it. Every species can join the collective if they choose, keep their uniqueness while gaining our connection. Emperor Zarthan laughed harshly. You think I'll give up my empire to join your hive mind? Not hive, Kate corrected. Symphony, each voice distinct but harmonized. And you wouldn't give up anything. You'd gain everything. She touched a panel. The screen showed Vorthek Prime, the Emperor's homeworld. But change. The military factories became centers of art. The training grounds became gardens. The people, still proud, still strong, but no longer hungry for conquest. A dream, Zarthan said, but his voice lacked conviction. A possibility, Patricia offered. We're not conquerors. We're gardeners. We want to help the galaxy grow. The tour continued. Each site, each explanation, chipped away at old beliefs. Ambassador Crix wept openly, seeing his decades of faith rewarded. Danny Walker grinned like a child, understanding his heritage at last. Even the Vorthak grew thoughtful. General Korthak, bred for war, watched children play without fear and felt something crack inside him. As Earth's sun set, they gathered in a garden amphitheater. Thousands of evolved humans surrounded them, yet the space felt intimate. You've seen our world, Patricia said. Now choose. Join us, and we'll heal the galaxy together. Refuse, and we'll still help, but slower. The choice is yours. We need time, Amy Foster said. Of course. Return to your fleets. Discuss. Decide. We'll wait. And if we attack, Zarthan tested. Kate Murphy smiled sadly. Then we'll stop you. Without killing. Without hate. We'll stop you and offer again. And again. Until you understand. The crystal ships prepared to return them to their fleets. As they rose, Danny Walker looked back at Earth, his ancestors' world, humanity's cradle, now humanity's gift to the stars. The choice awaited. The Emperor's War Council lasted 3 hours. Zarthan sat at the head of the table, his generals arguing around him. Half wanted to attack immediately, half counseled caution. The Emperor himself remained silent, remembering. They're weak. General Vorth slammed his fist on the table. Peaceful fools with pretty words. We have 300 ships. Ships they disabled with a thought. General Korthak reminded him. Without firing a shot. A trick. Technology we don't understand yet, but we can take it from them. On the coalition carrier, Amy Foster faced similar debates. Her officers were divided. Some saw hope. Others saw humanity's evolution as a threat to their own identity. They want to change us, Captain Morris argued. Make us like them. We'll lose ourselves. Did Earth's visitors seem lost? Amy countered. They kept their personalities, their memories. They just gained more. Meanwhile, Ambassador Crix had already decided. The old Zealothi sent messages to his people, describing Earth's transformation. His 4 eyes shone with joy as he spoke. 2 centuries of waiting, he told his assistant Vec. And the answer is more beautiful than I imagined. The debate raged across both fleets. Then Earth acted. Every ship's communication system activated at once. Not hacked, invited. Patricia Williams appeared on all screens, her expression calm but determined. "We apologize for the interruption," she began. "But the galaxy burns while you debate. People die while you hesitate. We won't wait any longer." The screens showed live feeds from across the galaxy. A Vorthek fleet bombing a refugee world. Pirates raiding a medical convoy. Children starving on abandoned colonies. Every second you argue, lives end. So we're going to demonstrate. Not force. Demonstrate. Emperor Zarthan stood. Demonstrate what? The power of connection. On the refugee world under bombardment, the Vorthek weapons suddenly stopped firing. The bomber crews found themselves unable to press triggers. Not paralyzed, just understanding. For the first time, they felt what their victims felt. Terror, loss, pain. Ships across the galaxy reported similar events. Pirates trying to raid convoys suddenly knew their victims' stories. Soldiers preparing executions felt the fear of those they meant to kill. "What are you doing?" Zarthan roared. "Sharing truth." Patricia said simply, "Your weapons still work. Your bodies still obey. But now you know the consequences. You feel them." On his bridge, the Emperor watched his bombing fleet retreat from the refugee world. The crews weren't disobeying orders. They simply couldn't follow them anymore. Not when they felt every death as their own. "This is mind control," someone shouted. "This is empathy," Earth responded. "We're not controlling thoughts. We're sharing feelings. The choice remains yours. Hurt others while feeling their pain. Or choose another way." The demonstration spread. Across thousands of worlds, millions of beings suddenly understood each other. A Vorthek soldier helped a wounded enemy. A pirate shared his food with prisoners. Small acts, but profound. Danny Walker watched from his fighter. They're not forcing peace. They're making war impossible. That wasn't quite true. Some beings, deeply broken or purely cruel, still chose violence despite feeling their victims' pain. But they were few. Most couldn't hurt others while experiencing the hurt themselves. "Enough," Emperor Zarthan commanded. "Stop this." "We'll stop," Patricia agreed. "But first, see one more thing." The screens changed. Now they showed possible futures. The galaxy healed. Species working together. Technology shared freely. Art and culture flowering. Children of all races playing without fear. "This isn't fantasy," Earth promised. "This is achievable. Now. Today. If you choose." The visions faded. The empathic connections ended. Beings across the galaxy found themselves alone in their minds again. But the memory remained. The possibility. On the Vorthek flagship, silence reigned. Hardened warriors looked at each other differently. They'd felt their enemies' fear, understood their pain. Some wept. Others stared at their weapons with disgust. "General Korthak," the Emperor said quietly. "Your assessment." Korthak, who'd argued for caution, now stood straighter. "They could have controlled us completely. Instead, they showed us ourselves. I felt what our conquests cost. Every life. And I don't want to feel that again. But more, I don't want to cause it." Similar conversations echoed through the Coalition fleet. Soldiers who'd lost everything to the Vorthak had felt their enemy's fear and found it exactly like their own. Amy Foster made her decision. Open a channel to Earth. Patricia Williams appeared. Behind her stood the Earth Council, waiting. "We'll try," Amy said. "The Coalition will try your way. Not because you forced us, because you showed us." One by one, other Coalition ships agreed. Then something unexpected happened. A Vorthek destroyer requested permission to defect. Then another. Officers who'd felt their victims' pain couldn't return to causing it. Emperor Zarthan watched his fleet fracture. "You've destroyed my empire." "No," Kate Murphy corrected. We've shown your people they're more than conquerors. The choice is still yours. Lead them to something greater, or watch them choose it without you. The Emperor looked at his remaining loyal ships, at General Korthak's haunted eyes, at the galaxy waiting for his decision. I need time, he said finally, to think, to feel. Time you have, Earth replied. We're not going anywhere, and neither is the truth. The fleets held position. No longer enemies, but not yet allies. The galaxy watched, and for the first time in centuries, hope began to grow. The demonstration was over. The real work was about to begin. 6 months passed. The galaxy changed slowly, then all at once. Like ripples in a pond, Earth's influence spread from system to system, being to being, heart to heart. Emperor Zarthan stood in the garden on Earth, not as a conqueror, but as a student. His gray skin had lost its battle hardness. His red eyes no longer burned with hunger for power. I was wrong, he told Patricia Williams. They walked among flowers that sang with the wind. For centuries, I believed strength meant domination. Now I know better. Patricia nodded. You're not the first warrior to learn this truth. You won't be the last. Across Earth's moon, the Terran Academy welcomed its first students. Beings from every species came to learn. Not just technology or science, but the art of connection, of understanding, of becoming more than themselves. Jake Morrison, the commander who'd started Earth's silence 250 years ago, now taught the new arrivals. His body was young, his mind ancient, his spirit finally at peace. The barrier wasn't to keep you out, he explained to a mixed class. It was to keep us in. We needed time to grow without influence, to become what the galaxy needed. In the classroom sat young Tommy Chen, descendant of colonists, planting knowledge like his ancestors planted seeds. Beside him, a Vorthek child named Zora, daughter of a reformed general. A Krellian youth calculated probability of friendship. An Etherian glowed with curiosity. The war was over, not through conquest, but through understanding. Vorthek fleets became exploration vessels. Weapons factories grew food. Soldiers learned to heal. Amy Foster commanded the new Galactic Response Fleet. Not warships, but help ships. They raced to disasters, ended famines, stopped plagues. Former enemies worked side by side. Refugee convoy needs assistance in Sector 7, her comm officer reported. All ships respond, Amy ordered. Vorthek medical units, take point. Coalition engineers, prepare shelters. Earth guides, coordinate with local governments. The galaxy it had burned now bloomed. Danny Walker flew with the Explorer Corps, mapping territories not for conquest, but for connection. His ship's crew included humans, Vorthek, Zelethi, and others. They sang songs from each world as they traveled. Contact with unknown species, his scanner showed. They're broadcasting fear. Of course they are, his Vorthek pilot said. The galaxy was terrifying. Send peaceful signals. Share our story. Let them choose their path. Ambassador Crix lived to see his faith rewarded. The old Zelethi spent his final years at the academy, teaching patience to the impatient, hope to the hopeless. Earth waited 250 years, he told his last class, because real change takes time, but it's always worth the wait. On New Eden, Dr. Mira Patel felt the connection to Earth restore. The colonies that had been cut off joined the growing network. Humans separated for centuries reunited in mind and spirit. We're going home, she told Ben Cooper, not leaving New Eden, but connecting to our real home, the shared consciousness of humanity. Emperor Zarthan, now simply Zarthan, worked in Earth's gardens. The former conqueror found peace in growing things. His hands that once held weapons now held seeds. General Korthak visited sometimes. He led the Vorthak Peace Corps, helping worlds recover from centuries of warfare. You were right, Korthak told his former emperor. Earth didn't destroy our empire. They freed us from it. The crystal ships no longer seemed strange. They traveled between worlds like thoughts between minds, carrying not conquest but culture. Art from the Krellians, music from the Etherians, stories from Earth. Captain Nina Cole stood on the observation deck of the Terran Academy. Below, Earth spun in its ancient dance. Above, stars that once divided now united. Was it worth it? Asked Emma Davis, the pilot who'd connected with Zarthan that crucial day. Nina smiled. Ask the children playing together who would have been enemies. Ask the world's healing instead of burning. Ask the galaxy singing instead of screaming. The anniversary came. Exactly 250 years since Earth's last message to the stars. Patricia Williams stood where Jake Morrison once stood, in the same building, now transformed. To our friends among the stars, she broadcast, Earth's garden has grown. We tended it alone, but it was always meant for everyone. The silence is over. The real conversation begins now. Across the galaxy, beings of all species heard the message. Some wept. Some cheered. All understood. Earth hadn't abandoned them. Earth had prepared for them. Tommy Chen, now 12 years old, drew pictures with his mixed species friends. His sketch showed Earth at the center, not as ruler, but as heart. Lines connected every world, every species, every soul. What are you drawing? Teacher Martinez asked. The future, Tommy said simply, where everyone's home. His Vorthek friend Zara added her own lines to the drawing. The Krellian calculated perfect proportions. The Etherian made it glow. Together, they created something beautiful. The galaxy had learned Earth's lesson. Strength wasn't in standing alone, but in standing together. Power wasn't in taking, but in giving. Victory wasn't in conquering, but in connecting. In the old stories, humanity reached for the stars. In the true story, humanity brought the stars together. The silence had ended. The symphony had begun.